All right, I think we're live right now. So welcome to the YOUmedia Community Resource Development Retreat Show and Tell. So this mini webinar series came out of a resource development retreat that occurred on August 18th to the 21st outside of San Francisco. And about 19-20 members of the YOUmedia network gathered together to create resources for the network. And these resources came out of different sites' expertise, experience, creativity. It was a really amazing event. And at the end of it, we had all of these things, and we had decided to either upload the things onto the COP and just have them live there, or we thought that we could introduce them to the network through some sort of context through having these mini webinars. So this is the second one. And today we have Corey, Sid, and Julie. Julie's going to be presenting her piece, and Corey, you'll be interviewing her and asking her some questions, and Sid will be throwing in some questions as well. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, I'm going to bounce it over to you guys.
Okay, I'll get us rolling. So Julie, why don't you start by telling us about the mini PD project that you were working on?
Sure. So at the retreat, I created a framework that will allow people some sort of guiding documents and questions around creating 5-minute PD videos. So the idea sort of came out of the professional development that I was seeing here in Chicago. We do things really big, and we always try to include as many people as possible, but you all know getting everyone around the same table at some kind of professional development or any kind of meeting is difficult. So my thought process was that we could have these sort of smaller engagement pieces around PD, and maybe a good way to do that would be to start by leveraging the skills that individuals have in our network and creating a format that could be shareable and scalable throughout the rest of our sites as well as throughout the network as a whole. So that's where the idea for mini PD came from.
You took my next question, but okay. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. One thing I wanted to maybe interject here then was, what made you think of doing it as a video? And also, I think a lot of people might think that creating a video for something like this might be super complicated. So, maybe summing up what you explain in the video, like how does video work? Why do you think it works really well in this for this kind of piece?
And I think for me, I'm a very visual and a very kinetic kind of learner. So I immediately thought video because you're sort of putting a personal element into this PD that you're handing out to folks, and I think that has an investment piece that maybe if you just send a document to someone, they're not going to have the same kind of investment with it. And as far as the videos and the sort of apprehensions around creating a video, the video that I created as the framework, I recorded parts of it on my camera phone and with just using a very basic built-in webcam and very basic editing. And through that process too though, and through my consultancy, which Sid was a part of, I realized that it might be good to create an additional document that gives some tips around creating a video in general. So that's going to be one of the first mini PDs that I create now that we're back from the retreat, just to give folks a little bit more support around creating a video, because I think for folks who that isn't really in their wheel set, that might be a little bit, that might sort of prevent them from engaging in this resource. So I want to get down as many barriers as I can.
Great, yeah, I think that's really helpful. So, other organizations, other learning labs, how might they institute this mini PD idea?
Sure.
For one, so maybe to start, if they have multiple locations, what would be your suggestion there?
Yeah, I think here in Chicago, I'm always thinking about how we have, a video mentor at this location who doesn't necessarily get out to every location to share the immense knowledge that they have. So I think as a starting point, it's finding folks who are super passionate and really knowledgeable about a particular subject area and getting them to just do a quick 5-minute intro PD about what their skill set is. I think it could be used in terms of introducing other staff and getting them more comfortable around those types of skills. I think it could also be a tool that you could show to administrators too. So say we create a video here in Chicago around a particular piece of equipment, and you all in Pittsburgh are like, hey, that's a really cool thing. I want to get institutional support around this piece of equipment so we can, you know, buy it and scale it for the rest of our labs. I think that could be another way that you could use these videos. So it's about learning new skills, but it's also about sort of, I think, legitimizing in some ways like what we do with the equipment and ideas that we have in our spaces. And since making the video too, I've been thinking a little bit more about not just highlighting equipment, but ideas. A lot of folks ask us about the sort of culture of the space that we create and how it's very inclusive, and how do you do that? And I think that's something we need to think on a little bit too, to articulate that out. But I think a video around ideas like that would be really beneficial to the network or to new places that are starting up.
And how do you think that'd be any different if it's, you know, providing PD for a single site learning lab or for other departments within, you know, say your giant central library?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that because we, at the moment, don't necessarily partner within the building or within the system with other departments in a sort of like organic kind of way. So I'm thinking about this. There's a music department here in the Harold Washington Library Center on the 8th floor, and I've been up there I think twice in the last year. But they're sort of interested in what we're doing and how to scale that up for an adult audience. So I think maybe some of these intro PD videos would help them feel a bit more comfortable about introducing new technology in their department. And it's something that I know they're interested in, but I think they don't really have that inroad or that knowledge base to really like latch on and take the project on themselves. So I sort of see my role as outreach being like also with staff in the building and sort of figuring out, you know, how to incorporate them into what it is we're doing and how we can share out the knowledge that we've gained through working with teens to an adult audience.
Great. I have one more question, and then maybe we can kick it over to Sid if she has something to add. I think this is going to be really useful for my site. I want to pair the mini PD video idea with our programming kits. So thanks for creating this, first of all. Is there anything that you learned during this process that you'd like to share?
I think originally I had been framing it as 2-minute PD because I really wanted it to be a really focused piece of information that you were delivering in the video. And when I tried to do 2 minutes, it couldn't happen. It was just way too short of an amount of time. And I think even 5-ish minutes might be a little bit too short, which is what the mini PD video, that's sort of the goal that I have for them. So I sort of challenge everybody else as they're sort of working on these videos to push back on that amount of time. I think it's still worthwhile to keep it as short as you can, because I know for me, I've sat through so many professional development sessions that could have been at least half the time, and I think part of it is that you want to give people like space to really mull over these new ideas, but the purpose of these kind of short engagement videos is just to like get in, get quick, get some information, and then process it a little bit later. So
great, thank you. Sid, did you have anything you wanted to add?
So, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes, okay, it works. Okay, so I'm definitely going to liberate this idea and use it with our intern crew. So if this is going to be in one of my like PD sessions with them, about how long from start to finish does it take you to make one of these videos?
Yeah, so the video at the retreat, I think it probably took me a total of about 30 to 40 minutes just to record all of the video pieces that I put together. And then I'm not so great at editing or iMovie, so that my learning curve is pretty low. So it took me maybe 2 to 3 hours to edit it. I think somebody who's a lot more familiar with that kind of technology, or if you're mindful when you're recording to, you know, cut it off at an appropriate length so you're not doing a ton of editing, I think that'll make a huge difference. I also think, so for the video that I made, I did it in chunks. I think you could just do a straight through video if you wanted to. So in that sense, your editing would be cut down by a lot. So, I mean, my guess is like between 2 to 3 hours it will take for each of these videos. As long as, and that's just the sort of like recording process. So maybe another hour worth of planning in terms of what it is that you want to be saying in the video. So 3 to 4 hours-ish is my estimation.
Cool. I think so. I think that. Sorry, it's loud in my office right now. I think that this is all really great, and your video is awesome, and I'm really excited to see how people are going to take this resource and kind of iterate on it, or make their own mini PD. And I totally agree with you, Julie. I would definitely encourage folks from across the network to try this out, push back on how much time they actually spend doing it and how much time the finished product is, because really what it is I really see these mini PD videos as like a prelude to something else. You know, they're not going to be something in itself, because program and professional development is going to look different at every site, right? But I'm really excited for this as a resource. This is one of my favorites. So I wanted to give a couple of nuts and bolts thing. If you're watching this and you're not part of the YOUmedia network, go to community.youmedia.org, and you'll be able to click on a big green button on the right-hand side that says join. And then if you go to webinars, you'll be able to see this webinar as well as a link that goes directly to Julie's resource. But thank you guys for participating.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.